Welcome to the Shannon Fox Show, the podcast where we empower career moms to thrive. I'm your host, Shannon Fox, a career advancement coach dedicated to helping moms like you leverage your strengths to land your dream job, secure that well-deserved raise, or finally get that promotion, all without sacrificing time with your family. Each week, I'll bring you actionable strategies, inspiring stories, and strength-based tools to help you align your career with your natural gifts and step into your full potential. So, if you're ready to stop feeling stuck and start building the career and life you deserve, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited. I have Leslie Martinez here with me today, and she is a senior executive assistant with over 15 years of experience supporting executives in the financial services industry. Leslie has worked at Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, Barclays, and recently at an asset firm with 10 million
Assets under management. I'll help you with that. A1.
yes, assets under management. Leslie is the creator of Intentions Manifested, a coaching program that takes an energetic and spiritual approach to help members clarify and achieve life goals that will bring delight and joy. Leslie is a mom living in New York City who enjoys her full-time job while embracing her passions of writing and coaching others to achieve their goals. Her core values this year are family, connection, growth, and visibility. I absolutely love that. So, Leslie, for those who are in our audience who may not know you yet, can you just tell us your story and what your story of entrepreneurship and what got you here to where you are today?
Sure. Hi, Shannon. First of all, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be talking to you today, and I'm very passionate about helping other women align with their visions and goals and achieve what they want in their career. I know that for some people, the EA role is just an EA role. I don't treat it as such. It's not certainly not something that I picked. It's something that it was put in my path and I ran with it, but it was the perfect fit for me because I, at the time, was just like not clear about what career paths I wanted to do. I had gone into, in high school, I was in the Academy of Finance. Then in college, I was studying a little bit of marketing, but then I felt limitations within that industry. I was like, there might be products I don't want to promote, and I may not have a say in this. And I didn't like that. So I took a step back and went to school for finance. But when I saw the roles that were available, I just thought, I don't like this lifestyle. If I want to have a family one day, I don't want to be traveling all over the place. That's just not for me. Yes, travel quarterly is fine, but I don't want to be on the road. That's just not the type of lifestyle I want to live.
Right.
And so, as I was exploring, studying finance, I got introduced to, my very first investment bank through a friend. And I came in as an assistant and I was like, oh, this is a great way for me to experience the lifestyle and see if this is something for me. And it wasn't. And it was depressing because I'm like, what do I do now? What do I do with this? But nonetheless, it proved to me to be a very solid, stable career that as an assistant did provide that balance. I'll share real quick that when I came in to work as an assistant, I started a rotational program as a temp. I think I was 24 years old and I was covering for mothers that were going on maternity leaves that were supporting very senior leaders at the time. So it was a great introduction to to this particular role because I got to see how very senior experienced assistants were doing their job. They were training me to do their job while they were away. And I was fairly new. So it was just like the perfect introduction.
You
But
get the
yeah,
best of the best teaching you brand new how to
it
be the
was
best of
like
the best.
amazing, but it was just a temp job. So that's the whole idea of like, don't look at a job as this is just a job. You have to think about what are your goals and what is your vision. If you have a vision in mind, no job is just a job. It's helping you get to where you want to go. And at the time, I didn't know what that was, but it was certainly a great introduction. And I got to see, oh, this is great. Because family for me, even when I was younger, before I even had a significant other, considering marriage or kids, I didn't have my child until I was in my 30s, mid 30s. Yeah, mid 30s. I'm like, how old is he? How old am I? But I just knew family I knew that that was one of my core values from the beginning. And, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, not by choice, I'll say that. And, I grew up in the Dominican Republic. I came when I was 9 years old. I'll share that. And so, I wanted a little bit of both. I wanted to be a working mom, but I also wanted to be present for my children. So this career proved to help me with that, I found that it provides the right amount of balance, the right amount of responsibilities, and I'm still able to disconnect, at least at the beginning of my career, and be present with my child. Now I support a partner, so at this asset management firm, and it's a little bit more demanding. But I think with communication and having clear expectations, I think it's manageable. It's always possible to create the type of routine and schedules that works for everyone. So.
Right. And I think a lot of our people that are watching are moms, and they are probably struggling with that work-life balance and wanting to, like you said, to be work, but also be present with their kids. So do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, it's important I'm speaking from the place that I am now. I don't know where you are in your journey or the type of job that you do or the type of environment that you're in. I will say that first, be very clear about what it is that you want, what is important to you. Because once you start with yourself and you start with what are, my values and what do I want to have in my family life, then you can create from the inside out versus, looking outside for what is it that you need. In other words, looking at other people's job and saying, "Oh, that's ideal." I mean, they provide information that you can use, but you start with yourself. What would your ideal day be like? And then you start with that vision. So I would say start with the vision. And then from there, again, if your job is not providing that kind of flexibility, or you find limitations there, at least you have a vision to start with, to start creating that and communicating that and seeing how you can make that happen. I hope that answers your question, but yeah, start with yourself, start with a vision.
Yeah, I love that. All right. So Leslie, let's talk about 3 mistakes preventing these moms, especially from landing their ideal job. What advice can you give them?
Yeah, so I could talk about some mistakes that I have seen people make. I have helped people with their career search, specifically for EA roles, but I think this applies to pretty much anyone applying for jobs. And so the first mistake that I see a lot is that people are, scrolling through the job boards and job posting and applying to every single job out there, usually as long as it's within their salary range or industry or title. So blindly applying to every job out there is probably going to get you some phone calls, but it's not necessarily what's going to get you your ideal job. The problem here is that if you're applying to every job out there, there's no clarity or details. It sounds to me like you don't have any clarity or details about the position that you're seeking, that you're just trying to get a job. And so it's hard for you to make that connection to anyone you're speaking to, whether it's when you get to the interview process or whoever's screening you for that job. It'll be very hard to make a connection because you're simply going there for, very superficial reasons. So, we really need to get clear around what is it. It could be like, hey, I'm looking to leave my job because I'm looking for more flexibility. I would like a hybrid schedule where I'm working 3 days in the office, 2 days at home. That was my situation at one point. And I was able to articulate that. Yeah, in that case, I stayed within my salary range and my industry and my title. But the change here that I was seeking was a hybrid schedule. So I only focused on jobs that had all those 4 components, EA roles within my salary range, within my industry. But now I added the component of like, it needs to be hybrid. So having that clarity and being selective is actually going to not limit you, but help you, because now you're coming in with a strong desire for why you want that and why you're the best fit for that role. So again, the solution here is to be clear about what it is that you want to do. Who do you want to be working with? What are your values? What are the things? How is this job going to support your lifestyle and the lifestyle that you want to lead? and the things that you want to do, because when we think about work, sometimes we just make it about work, but everything else in your life, everything that else is happening in your life is going to affect your work and the energy you bring to work. So if things in your home life are out of place, you could still do your job really well, but at some point it's just going to cause either overwhelm and chaos, or it's going to cause some issues because you're not in balance in other areas of your life. So be very clear about what is the lifestyle that you want to create, and then start to set your vision from there, from that place of clarity. And I'm speaking in generality because I'm not sure what titles or what positions your audience is seeking, but from an EA point of view, as I mentioned, for me, it was like, okay, I'm very clear that I want to be supporting senior leaders because that's where I am in my career. Not only that, but I feel that I do my best work when I'm supporting somebody one-on-one with maybe a few people under them, where 80% of my time is spent with that executive. That's clarity. So when I speak to others about that, that's what they're going to present me with. Oh, we have a senior EA position for a CEO, and we have Leslie, who has X amount of years of experience, who that is what she's looking for. She's a great fit. People are going to think of me. But if I'm like, oh, I'm just looking for an EA role in financial services, no one's going to think of me, when I have those conversations.
I think that that's great, because I think that also when you apply to everything, you're just applying and it almost comes out of desperation.
Yeah.
And that's felt on both sides. Like you
100%.
desperate and the person that interviewed. But when you're clear, even though it may seem like less jobs, you're actually more clear and focused, though you're going to get the right job for you. And then I feel like when you have set those clear intentions of what you want, like you said,
100%.
I wanted hybrid, I wanted, to senior executive, whatever those things for each person are, to sit down and actually probably write those down so that they're extremely clear on what they are.
Yes, absolutely. Write it down. And the clarity doesn't come from thinking about it sometimes. Sometimes take actions. If you're not sure what that is, the next steps are going to help you. With the next steps that I'm going to talk about. But we at least start with the self-exploration of sitting down with ourselves, which we often don't do when we are doing a job search. We immediately go externally, like what's out there, like where can I apply. We don't take the time to sit back and say, hey, but what is important to me right now? Because the thing is that, like, once you start aligning with the things that you actually care about and you're passionate about, and you feel like, even if you don't have every skill in the book, in the job description, if you have that strong desire for that position, that alone is more powerful than anything else, because the energy you bring into that job will be felt on the other side. And as you mentioned before, it is about energy. It's about the energy you're putting out. When you come and you speak to others and you have conversations in your interview from a place of confidence and strong desire, it is felt on the other side, and that sets you apart. The point that brings me to point number 2, which is mindset. And thinking that there's a lack of job out there. And this is coming from a place, obviously, of privilege in many ways. I live in New York, where there's an abundance of jobs. There's a lot of jobs here. And in the United States in general, I think, I'm seeing a lot, but I'm not too familiar with other markets. I know it's, in California as well, like the coastal cities have more jobs. I know Texas is growing a lot as well. So I don't know where you are, but what I will say is that thinking that there's a lack of jobs out there is a mindset issue, and that's only going to align you with more lack. So even if you can't see the abundance, just the act of shifting your mindset and thinking, you know what, I'm not seeing enough, but I know that perfect role for me is out there. That starts to just trick your brain into just finding them. Like, now your brain is searching for that proof, versus aligning with lack, in which you're not going to find anything, because your brain gives up. Your brain is like, well, there's nothing here for me to look for. But the moment you start saying, you know what, I haven't found it yet, but there is something out there, that does a shift. It's an incredible shift. And it changes your conversations as well. You're not approaching people from a place of lack. You're approaching people from a place of possibility. So that's my second tip.
I love that.
And then, there's one tip that I didn't have. So I think I'm going to go into maybe 4 or 5 tips because I think this will be helpful. I'm gonna add this one that I hadn't previously added, and it's this idea of like utilizing your network to find opportunities. So, your network, I mean, our network now is so expansive with LinkedIn and social media. People want to help, people want to connect, people have a strong desire to help others. So now the sky is the limit, even if you don't personally know someone, just by you having a mutual interest, that could open the door to many opportunities.
Absolutely. I think that goes
So
back to your mindset too, of where like seeing the abundance or seeing the possibilities of, and then putting it out there, then there's going to be someone else who says, oh, I know the perfect person to connect you with. Here you go. And there,
exactly.
and that's
And
that
just think of the
connection.
fact that the other side is also looking for you. Like
Right.
once you get clear about, hey, this is what I'm good at, and this is what I bring to the table, there's someone on their side looking for that thing. So, that's one way to think about it, that when you connect, they're gonna be like, oh my God, where have you been? You know what I mean? That's really it's happened. So
Exactly.
um that's one way to look at it. So definitely leverage your network. Don't feel like, oh, I don't know enough people or I don't know anyone that can connect me to it. Like with LinkedIn and just having some sort of desire or something you're interested in, you can connect with so many people. I've been connecting with people on LinkedIn over this role, like other speakers. And it's incredible. Like I'll share one experience that happened recently. I connected with his name is Jeremy Burrows. He has the Leader EA podcast and a book called The Leader Assistant. And I just recently came across him and I was like, oh my God, that's so amazing. Like they get to have their day job and still do this thing on the side. That's like my dream. But I'm so afraid of being visible. I'm so afraid to do both and I'm afraid of like conflicts of interest and stuff like that, even though I report my business every year with my employer, but it's just this weird thing that I have to overcome. And so I reached out and I just said to him, oh my gosh, so glad to be connected. I hope to one day add my voice to the many voices of EA speaking out there. I love your work. And he responded and he's like, well, would you like to do it now? You want to come on my podcast? I was
That's
just like, what?
awesome.
Are you kidding me? I'm not being
Yes.
prepared other than my materials that I had prepared like sometime I would say 2.5 years ago, right around towards the tail end of COVID. That's when I came up with my program. But my program is pretty adaptable. So I was like, well, I can quickly come up with something. So literally within a week, I had the landing page, the lead, the
Right.
talking points, which are very similar to what we're talking about today. And I got
That's
to be on his podcast yesterday, but that just came from a natural desire. I
right.
never could have faked that. I never could have been writing a 10-page long email trying to sell myself. There was none of that. It was just a genuine, energetic interaction of, I really admire your work. There's no jealousy there. There's no competition. There's no like, I can't do it because he's already doing it. None of that. It was just this beautiful, like, energetic exchange that we had in one sentence. And he's like, you want to come talk? I was like, sure. So I mean, that's just like an example of how amazing things can be when you start aligning with your values and the things you care about. Amazing, still things will start to happen, not just jobs but opportunities as well.
I love that. I love that. That's exciting. And I agree. I feel like it all starts with getting, and it's funny, all these steps are building on each other,
Yeah,
and they all do build on top of each other, because if you had just been like, oh, I just connected with him, but you weren't sure about exactly who you were, what you were doing, what you wanted to do, it would have been, hi, okay, we're connected,
exactly.
move on. Instead, you had the
Exactly.
mindset of possibility, opportunity, and then that connection came. And look, that's
Yeah.
awesome. You're on a podcast.
Yeah, and I swear I had no intention behind that. Like that intention was not there, but my intention was to genuinely connect with him.
Right.
I didn't think that being on his podcast was going to be the possibility, but I was aligning with that energetically, just being in alignment. And also being clear about my program as well. So another thing that you can do here is, start doing the things that you love if you have the time. Start like if you're like, I really want to go into this industry and I don't know how to break through into it, start learning. There's so many free programs out there. Like even all the Ivy League schools offer free programs that you can take, certifications. I think to get the certificate you pay, but to actually enroll in the class is often free. So my goodness, like if you're interested in something, the sky is the limit. And now there's a lot of remote positions as well. So you don't have to just stick within the area that you're bound by. There's fully remote positions available. So, think about that.
Yeah, I think the world changed a few years ago and opened up a lot more remote opportunities, which gives our moms and our listeners a chance to be able to still be at home with their kids and maybe have that remote position as well. So
Yeah,
I think that
absolutely.
that's if that is something that they're clear on and they want, that happens. That can happen for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, well, the fourth point now, because we're moving on to four, maybe 5 points, is not getting help. This is, twofold. It's one fold is like through your network, like you could, we can't see our own blind spots and we can't see what we can't see. So whether having conversations with your network, your friends, your people, like if you can't get clear about your values and if you need like a little boost, just ask your friend, what do you think I'm good at? And you'll be so surprised about the amazing things that they come up with that kind of, it becomes like a mirror for you to actually say, oh my gosh, this is what people are seeing in me that I couldn't see before. So this could be an amazing exercise when you're looking for work. It could be asking for help, like, hey, now that I'm clear about what I want, you're talking to your network around about that. And now people are thinking about you when those opportunities come. The other thing is recruiters can be really helpful in this process. So using them as allies is an amazing thing to do. And by that is the moment that you're clear about what you want, you're talking to many recruiters, you're giving them a very specific task. This is what I'm looking for. When you find it, please come to me. This does require a little bit more time. So if you're pressed for time, that that might not be ideal for you, but if you have a job and you're just exploring other opportunities, I would say talk to as many people as possible. Set up Zoom coffees, random people on LinkedIn that are doing the things that you want to do. Say, hey, I'm really curious about coming into this industry. I like what you're doing. Will you have 15 minutes to meet over Zoom, or coffee if you feel bold and you feel like you can meet them for coffee? People will give you time. And yeah, so I would suggest getting help and not doing it alone. And obviously, the other part is getting professional help. So that could be, I cannot stress enough how much growth I've experienced when I've actually worked with other coaches. Like I pay for coaching myself and I'm a coach. And the growth that I have experienced has been 10 times what I could have done on my own because they help me focus and hone in on a specific skill. So I worked with a career coach that helped me get clear about my strength and my, basically like a summary of all my experiences so that I could tell my story in a better way. I worked with coaches on public speaking. I worked with coaches on negotiations. So like get help, pay for it because you're worth it. You're worth investing in yourself. If you're not investing in yourself, why would anyone else do it?
Exactly. And I think every coach that I know, I'm a coach as well, and I have a coach, and then they have a coach, and they
Yeah,
have everybody has that
amazing.
because you're going to have those mindset blocks that come up where you need someone who knows you and cares about you. And friends are a great example when you start out, but they may have that
Communications as
business,
well.
yeah, difference view from business, and then they can lovingly kind of kick you in the behind and say, come on, break through this, or help you break through those blocks. And so I
Yeah,
do think
absolutely.
getting help is huge. I mean, market research is great with your friends and picking up and just say, hey, I have a few questions, this is what I'm thinking. Hey, what am I really good at? I'm thinking about things that I'm really good at, because I think you're right. Like, we don't realize that some of these things that we're good at, because they're just so natural, they come out to us, our knowledge of things, and it's just second nature.
Mm-hmm.
But to the rest of the world, you're like, whoa, my
I could
brain
never
doesn't
do
think like that,
that.
you know? And
I can
so,
never do that, right?
right,
Like I
exactly.
told you before, Shannon, I was like, you're amazing at putting together these summits. The moment I knew I had to do editing, I'm like, I'm out. Um,
Exactly. So it takes totally does. It takes a village to do to live life. Like it really just does.
yeah, absolutely. And then another thing about friends that I want to caution about is that friends and family want to keep us safe. They see
Yeah.
the best in us. They see the potential. They know us. They could, be a mirror to our strengths and qualities, but they also want to keep us safe. So I remember anytime I wanted to make a job move, oh my gosh, why would you do that? Why would you leave with the safety and the security? No, that's what I got from my family. And I was like, I'm sorry, but I'm ready for a change. I'm going to take a risk here and no regrets. So just a word of caution on like getting advice for career is that um, sometimes the growth part that we need may not come from them because they're used to what they're used to.
Right.
They don't, that change could be uncomfortable for them as well.
Yes.
So the other point, it's a bonus point, and this is a very good one. It's a good one. I think you guys are gonna love it because I don't know if people do this, but going into interview with the mindset that you're there to convince them to give you the job, that is a mistake. It's a mistake because there's no connection there. So if you could change the interview into a conversation, into a two-sided conversation where you're also seeking to understand whether this is the right role for you, it changes the energy. And you really should be going there to explore, hey, is this the right role for me? Are we a good fit?
Right.
That should be the mindset you go into, and you'll see how things change. The moment you go in there trying to convince them that you're the right person, you're not getting all the information you need to connect with them. But if you go there with curiosity and you're asking questions along the way, well, these are you're asking me if I have these skills. Can you give me some examples of how you can utilize, this person, why do you need these skills? What are some of the examples of the things that you're doing? That gives you a point of connection because they might mention things that you are already doing, and you can say, oh, I did X, Y, and Z, and this was the result, and this is how I did it. And that immediately creates the connection that you're looking to have with the interviewer. But if the other person is just sitting on the other side, probing through your resume and trying to get to you're giving generic answers, there's no connection there. So if you could change it into a conversation with confidence and know like, hey, this is just as important for me as it is for you. Like, are you the right fit? Like, are there any red flags that I'm going to uncover in this conversation that may make me pause? That mindset will really help you when you go in for an interview, either to weave out the bad ones or actually land your ideal role.
I love that bonus tip. That is fire. Like that is, amazing because I do agree 100%. Like if you're going in there, it goes back to the mindset and the desperation. Like you don't want to be desperate for that job. You need to interview them as much as they need to interview you.
100%.
So it does become that conversation. It's not trying to convince them. It's you need to be convinced that you want to spend your time with these people because you spend a lot of time with your coworkers and you need
most
to
of
like
our
them.
time. Most of the time, and it's a win for them because if you're coming into work wanting to be there, that's a huge win. You're so much more productive if you want to be there than if you're not. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I love those points. So you have a free gift for everybody. The 5 overlooked steps for landing your ideal executive assistant role, EA role, correct? Oh, and that's a lot of what we talked about today.
yeah, I mean, there'll be some things in there for sure that we didn't cover, but it's very similar. It's mostly focused on like, hey, these are some steps that you can take, and at least you have it all in one place as well that you can reference whenever you need it.
Awesome. So thanks for joining us. Thanks, Leslie,
Yes,
for being
thank
here.
you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Shannon.
Thanks so much for tuning into The Shannon Fox Show. If you found value in today's episode, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another career mom who's ready to thrive. Don't forget to grab your free Mastery Zone Discovery Quiz, where you'll uncover your strengths and take the first step toward aligning your career with your superpowers. You can also connect with me on Instagram at the.shannon.fox for more tips and inspiration. Until next time, remember, you're not just building a career, you're creating a life you love. Let's make this happen.